Well, in case you haven't heard, as Stealth Omicron advances, scientists are learning more. This is from ABC News. It is left-leaning in. That's from February 24th, and you probably haven't heard much about Stealth Omicron, probably because all the news is so focused on Ukraine, Russia. But let's see what this article has to say and see if the talking points are still there that they're still trying to push. I'm Grid 7, and we'll get into this. The coronavirus mutant, widely known as Stealth Omicron, is now causing more than a third of new Omicron cases around the world, but scientists still don't know how it could affect the future of the pandemic. Researchers are slowly revealing clues about the strain, a descendant of Omicron, that's now known as BA.2, while wearily watching it become ever more prevalent. Typical of how they have been watching these variants. It's like, oh, it's here. Oh, now it's prevalent. Maybe we should start really studying it and see if it's bad or not. We're keeping an eye on BA.2 just because it's done particularly well in some parts of the world, including parts of Asia, Africa, and Europe, said Dr. Wesley Long, a pathologist at Houston Methodist in Texas. This week, a technical advisory group for the World Health Organization advised public health authorities to monitor it as a distant Omicron strain. Early research suggests it spreads faster than the original Omicron, and in rare cases can sicken people even if they've already had an Omicron infection. There's mixed research on whether it causes more severe disease, but vaccines appear to be just as effective against it. From what I kind of recall, vaccines weren't that effective against Omicron. So, take that for what you will. Overall, cases are falling in some places where the variant is becoming more prevalent, offering some hope that the latest troubling version of the virus won't send cases skyrocketing again as experts try to learn more. The BA.2 has been found in more than 80 countries in all 50 U.S. states. In a recent report, the WHO said BA.2 was dominant in 18 countries, and it represented about 30% of sequenced Omicron cases submitted in most recent week to a publicly available international database where scientists share coronavirus data. That's up from 19% 2 weeks earlier. Typical new variants come out, they become dominant. It's a repeating cycle that we're in. In the United States, BA.2 caused about 4% of COVID cases during the week ending in February 19th, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. The percentage was lower in some regions and higher than others, hitting about 7% in New England. What's known? BA.2 has lots of mutations. It's been dubbed stealth because it lacks a genetic quirk that the original Omicron that allowed health officials to rapidly make it look different from Delta using certain PR tests. So while the test can detect a BA.2 infection, it looks like a Delta infection. Initial research suggests BA.2 is more transmissible than the original Omicron, about 30% more contagious by one estimate. And here's the talking point. But vaccines can prevent people from getting sick. Scientists in the United Kingdom found that they provide the same level of protection from both types of Omicron. And again, as I said earlier, there's a lot of people were saying the vaccines didn't protect that well against Omicron. So here's really where it's about with the original Omicron also seems to provide, quote, strong protection. I've actually read some articles where they say really the chances of back-to-back is very rare. But no, they can't. They're trying to hype the vaccine. But after getting BA.2 after infection of the original Omicron strain is possible, says new research out of Denmark. Study authors noted 187 total infections, including 47 with BA.2 occurring shortly after a bout of the original strain. Well, let's see, that's 104. What about the other 140? Were they vaccinated, unvaccinated? Now, here we go. Mostly in young, unvaccinated people with mild disease. that's one of those strange, young, unvaccinated. The young are generally more liberal and leftist. They're unvaccinated, which people have been calling a right wing thing. This never makes any sense to me when people say young, unvaccinated people are the ones getting it. They concluded that such infections do occur but are rare. Like other early studies on BA.2, this one has been posted online but not reviewed by independent scientists. And here, does BA.2 make you sicker? A Japanese lab study suggests that it could, based on experiments with hamsters. Researchers concluded that the risk for global health is potentially higher from BA.2 and proposed that it be given its own Greek letter, a designation for global significant variants of concern, whose technical group said of BA.2 should remain under the Omicron umbrella. So who's saying not really, and these people are saying yes, it should, so I don't know. Though the severity experiments were conducted in animals, the study is not something to discount, said Eric Topol of Scripps Research Translational Institute. I never heard of that one. But we should keep an open mind and keep assessing this. I like how they say that when it looks like the data is not quite what they want. We should keep an open mind. They should keep an open mind that maybe it's not. Something I always think they're hoping for it to continue to be bad. But scientists are finding something different when they look at people. An initial analysis in Denmark showed no differences in hospitalizations for BA.2 compared with the original Omicron, which tends to generally cause milder disease than the Delta variant. More recently, researchers in South Africa found much the same, a similar risk of hospitalization and severe disease with the original Omicron variant in BA.2. So what we have is these lab tests where they're saying it might, and the real world which is going, we're not seeing it. But we need to keep an open mind on this because it's not, the real world isn't giving us what we want. We always have to interpret studies in animals with caution, Long said. I place more weight in the studies of actual patients and what they're experiencing. All right, there's what they're experiencing, Dr. Long. How will BA.2 affect the pandemic? No one knows for sure. COVID-19 cases are dropping globally, including some places where BA.2 is prevalent. I think this is, if you look back on up here where it said, original Omicron provided a strong protection, it's not that hard to see a lot of people got Omicron. So the fact that BA.2 isn't getting as much should be expected. We've got pretty much kind of a herd immunity almost, a little bit. The timing of the upswings and downswings in cases remains unclear, said Louis Mansky, director of Institute of Molecular Virology in the University of Minnesota. It's difficult for researchers to predict how much BA.2 will change caseloads because it's spreading in communities with varying levels of protection from vaccines and prior infections. Some experts believe BA.2 is unlikely to spark new surges but may slow COVID declines in some places. WHO officials stress that the pandemic isn't over and urge countries to remain vigilant. Yeah, they're having problems with that because people are, for past month or so, I didn't look at any COVID stuff and everything was normal. And that's the problem with this now. Everything's looking normal to people. Doctor said individuals should do the same, but remember, vaccines and boosters, here's the thing, offer excellent protection against the worst effects of COVID-19 no matter what the variant. For people who aren't boosted, please get boosted. For people who aren't vaccinated, it's never too late. Your best defense against COVID is still the vaccine. Again, a vaccine is to prevent you from getting it. No, I'm sorry, I didn't get the polio vaccine and a few others so that I didn't get a severe case of it. I got it so I wouldn't get it. And that's the hardest part with COVID right here. COVID acts like a flu shot. And I don't really consider the flu shot a vaccine because you can still get it. Now, it really is a bit different, but I don't know. Have you heard of Stealth Omicron? Yes, no. What are your thoughts about it? How are things going where you are? No, are you even worried about it anymore? I don't know. Let me know. Comments, YouTube, Rumble, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you next video.